Hare Just supposed to be blessings from Krishna, not like a politician. So, dazzled with it. Alright, welcome all of you. I'm very happy that you all have come here. How many of you all are coming for the very first time? Please raise hands. Quite a few of you. We're hoping that more will join because you all know that the group, there are a lot of devotees and members who joined the group. But yes, it will definitely take some time to stabilize. So, here we are. We're trying to have some little discussion on how Bhagavad Gita is relevant to our lives. Right? That is why you all have come here, to see what exactly does spiritual life entail, what does the Bhagavad Gita have, does it have something that I can actually implement in my life. So all of these aspects we are hoping to cover in this Gita session. So let me introduce myself. Mataji, do you want to also, or let me just introduce myself and Mataji. So let me go to that. So I am Madhumati Pushkarni Devi. That's my ISKCON name. But let me introduce, before I introduce myself, to this Mataji here who's sitting here. So we're both going to co-teach this course. Right? So she is Vaikuntha Vishnu Priya Devi Dasi, whose name was Vishnu Priya Varada. So she is a BTech from JNTU, Hyderabad, and she's working for a MNC for quite some years. You can see over 20 years of experience. She's also been associated with ISKCON for a very long time, since 2006. And so she has accepted Chakratara Swami Maharaj as her guru, and that's how she gets her name. And she's been serving in this particular center as a preacher, as a Bhakti Vriksha leader. It's not that you all may understand all of these terms, but it doesn't matter. The point is that she has been involved not just in the spiritual life as many of you would assume. She's also having a fully thriving a professional life, working life, as well as a family. So thank you very much, Mataji. Okay, and then this is me. I'm Madhumati Pushkarni Devi Dasi. So I'm working with RB University as the assistant dean there, the School of Economics. And I've also been associated with ISKCON for some time because, I think the only reason why someone would say that we're associated with ISKCON for such a long time is not to say, look here, no, I'm so great. It's not that way. It's to say that here is an organization which has the potency to actually keep you so happy, to keep you engaged. Why would I look for anything else? And that's how I am with this movement and with all the devotees here for some time. I've also written children's books. So for any of you all are interested, I've written children's books, basically I'm trying to get them values through stories. Right? So that's about us. So now, are we all ready to start the journey? Okay, so let's see how it goes. We'll begin with, let me put it on slideshow back. Yes, you can see, this is our founder Acharya, you can see here. Is Divine Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who founded ISKCON as a movement. So, Srila Prabhupada, who, he has established several temples across the world, ISKCON centers across the world, but, and that's how we know ISKCON, but the kind of conviction, the kind of struggle that he went through to help people understand this very urgent message. He sensed the urgency, seeing the kind of values that were deteriorating in the world. So he felt this very strong need to help people. And And that's what is the essence of all religion. Yeah, it's compassion, isn't it? You all must agree with this, that there is nothing apart from compassion. So Jive Daya is something which is supposed to be the essence, and that's exactly what His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, he practiced it. And he did not just preach, but he actually practiced it. So we shall give our obeisances of pranam to him first before we begin this particular course. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya. You can repeat after me. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya.
Namo Vishnupadaya,
Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale.
Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale,
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta.
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta,
Swamin Iti Namine.
Swami Iti Namine.
Namaste Saraswate Deve.
Namaste Saraswate Deve,
Gauravani Pracharine.
Gauravani Pracharine,
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi.
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi,
Paschatya Desha Tarine.
Paschatya Deshatarine.
So this is offering our very respectful pranams and obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. He is lovingly called as Srila Prabhupada, and he is glorified as the one who is very dear to Lord Krishna. He has taken full shelter at his lotus feet, and he has preached this message of the Bhagavad Gita, not just in India, but across the entire world. Yes, that's it. And then we also, so as we will proceed, we will see how beautifully it was this Hare Krishna Mahamantra was actually, it was always there, but it just came out like that because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we shall also give our pranams, and as we go eventually, gradually, we will understand the import and different aspects of the spiritual path. So Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. As it says, I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. I think it's quite clear that all of us are looking for light. We are looking for solutions. But as of now, it seems a little hazy. Therefore, we offer our pranams and we remember our Guru who's playing the major role in helping us open our eyes. And this is one of the very important teachers also who was here on planet Earth 100 years ago, but the kind of contribution that he has done, the kind of books that he has written, literature kind of presentations he has made on the philosophy. So we also give our pranams to Sri Rupa Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. When will Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was established within this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter at his lotus feet. Don't worry so much if you don't understand, but we are just reciting all the prayers. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Yutamscha. May I request all of you to please keep your mobiles on silent. So this entire course is dedicated, like we began, to His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Alright, so let's start with what's the agenda. What are the different pointers? How are we going to go about this particular course? So this course is spread across 9 sessions, totally 9 sessions. And while we discuss the format for each course. We'll also see what are these different 9 sessions. Right? So the 9 sessions, first one, which all of us are looking for, the big secret is secrets of happiness. And one wonders, ऐसा कुछ होता है क्या? But let's see what it is. Right? And see, key to success is to overcome suffering, art of work, importance of guide, balanced lifestyle, mind control, who's the supreme controller, and the ultimate perfection. Right? So we'll go systematically, and like I said, this is completely and entirely based on Bhagavad Gita. Right? We'll try to understand, and many of you all have, of course, being in India, all of you know about the Bhagavad Gita. Right? I mean, in the sense, you know, it's a very important scripture for the Hindus. That's how it is popularly known. But we also have heard that Bhagavad Gita is popular in so many management universities. IM has a course on Bhagavad Gita. Cambridge has a course on Bhagavad Gita. And we sometimes wonder, what is there in Bhagavad Gita? How is it that I don't know anything about it? It's not that often we speak about Bhagavad Gita, but thanks to who is it? Mahabharata and Ramayana, the one Ramanand Sagar. And Mahabharata also we know somebody else. Who we know, all of us know one verse for sure, or 2 verses. What is that? Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, all of us as children have probably, I don't know, I was a child. probably you were much younger or not even born, but I'm sure you've heard of these verses, right? Yada, yada, hi dharmasya, and then paritranaya sadhana. These were the famous verses, and that's all we knew about Bhagavad Gita. And we know about Bhagavad Gita in bits and pieces when somebody says, do your work. This is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, just do your work. And I say, yes, that's what the Bhagavad Gita is all about. But let's now try to systematically analyze the Bhagavad Gita, and each of these pointers, they are giving us a hint at how to apply it. Yeah, it's not just keeping the Bhagavad Gita at home, or sometimes people worship the Bhagavad Gita, which is good. Because we understand that it has some significance, therefore we worship it. But how nice if you actually picked it and opened it and read a verse, and then how even nicer to actually put some things into life. Right? There's a very funny incident in Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, we just saw him in his life when there was an Indian who came running to him and said, Prabhupada, I can chant all the verses of Bhagavad Gita in 40 minutes. Said, period, 40 minutes I can chant all the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada looked at him and said, that's very good, but can you live the Bhagavad Gita for 40 minutes? It is so difficult. Right? So living the Bhagavad Gita and knowing some parts of it are very different. Knowing in the sense memorizing it are very different. Though memorizing it is good, kind of getting some verses here and there also good. But how much nicer it is if we are able to implement some aspects of the Bhagavad Gita into our life. Right? And towards the end, of course, we'll have question and answers. I can see some of you are a little curious. Okay. So, what is everyone looking for in life? How would you answer that? In one word. Peace, happiness, satisfaction. Absolutely. All of you have come here for that. No? And interestingly, sometimes I think that Krishna is very clever. If he had not given us some problems, we would not have looked towards him at all. No. So yes, all of us are looking for some solutions. We're looking for happiness. We're looking for peace. But that we'll discuss through all of these different aspects. Yes, we'll see what we're looking for. But does it actually connect with what we need? What are the different needs of human beings? Then we'll see, okay, what is the importance or significance of spirituality? And then bring in the Bhagavad Gita. we give some background of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, some of you know already, some of you may not know, so let's discuss the background of the Bhagavad Gita. And then in each session, we'll have a little Krishna story, a very small snippet. Yes. So we know that, oh, the person who is speaking the Bhagavad Gita is so sweet. Yes. So we'll look at some small, very, very small story from Krishna Leela. And then finally we also have one open secret, which is like a practical tip you can apply in your lives, day-to-day lives, right? So yes, you said happiness, satisfaction, and yeah, that is true. We are looking for happiness, all of us, right? And what are you advertised everywhere? Just this. That's yoga. No, recently 12th results came out and everybody is like, bus, 12th results I wanted to pass, with good marks. And then it's like, no, admission into this particular. And then after admission, what comes next? What comes next? Placement, yes. So we're just there. Yeah, buy this car, you'll be happy. Buy this whatever, you'll be happy. Even as silly as just that dress that I saw that day. Bas, wo mil jata na. We feel that it's done. Right? But let's see. Is that right? Is that right that when our needs are fulfilled, we feel happy? But what are these needs addressing? Us as an entity, right? So I'll get to this. We know people are trying to do so many things, but we have to understand that these needs are at different levels. Very clearly. One is at the physical level, second is at the emotional level, and then is at the intellectual level. Correct? And this is philosophy which is agreed by both Western philosophers and Indian philosophers. Ancient wisdom texts, all of them agree upon this, that as human beings, we have needs at different levels. So while, physical level needs are definitely, food, water, all that, which is survival. But then you go ahead and you say that that's not enough. I also have some emotional needs because I'm an emotional person. I have, obviously have emotions. So what about that? Are my emotional needs being satisfied? And therefore, family comes into the picture, right? And then you have friends and you have quality time and all that comes into the picture. But that's also not enough. Where you say that, no, I want something intellectually stimulating that will satisfy my intellectual need. And therefore, career comes in and good education comes in and you feel good conversations are important. And people are looking for all of that, isn't it? People are looking for all of that. It's satisfying when they feel that, I read something wonderful. They feel so satisfied. Yeah, they feel, I read this or I watched that or I participated in this event, whatever that is. And they feel very satisfied. But do you think we are missing something? Yeah, even if all of these are satisfied. Yeah, you said it. Yeah, and let's understand this through something which is, this is an Ayurveda model of our constitution. It's a model. It's a well researched and published model which talks about us, our body at different levels. So the outer level is called as the Annamaya Kosha, which is at the physical body level. Yeah, and then you have Pranamaya Kosha, which is at the life force level. Yeah, so you can understand this in terms of the physical body, obviously what it needs, food and nourishment, all that. But there is a deeper science of pranayama which has become so famous now. Yes, breathing techniques. Why? Because you're addressing a different level of your body, and a lot of your anxiety, your worries, they are put to rest when you just breathe properly. It's so interesting, isn't it? When you breathe deeply, they say that take a deep breath, take a deep breath. Why? It's for this. So that your feelings and emotions and all that, which will go to the next level, they are given some kind of a tranquilizer. We go to the next level of manomaya, which is at the mental level. That's the next aspect of embodying. Beyond that is the intellectual level, Vijnanamaya. But finally, the most important is Anandamaya. So there is happiness which can be achieved at different levels. But unless we address up to the point of the soul, which is the real Anandamaya, we'll still kind of feel incomplete. Said, ye bhi hai, this is there, I have that also, this also, but something is empty. Many of us feel this. And some of us may not feel it when we are so busy in our outer portions. It's like, enjoy. We are at that level, then it's hard to even feel that maybe something is missing. No, I'm so busy. Nothing is missing. But, like I said, life has its own way of giving you one thought. What happened? Something happened. And something happened and you need to figure out why is it that I'm feeling this, be it loneliness, you have a relationship issue, you have a severe financial stress, something, and then you begin to inquire deeper. Right? So here this image, what's wrong? Isn't it? Fish is out of water. Everything else is there with the fish. It's got the best food, lot of money, even interesting entertainment. Yes. And probably the best burger in town. All of that it has. But is the fish happy? Yeah, it isn't happy. Because it's out of water. Just put it back. Just there, isn't it? Therefore, there's a huge gap that comes in our life in the form of frustration, loneliness, anxiety, depression. Do you know India is the second most depressed country? Did you know this? We always thought that it is the West, not India. Because we have family, we have this, we have that. But it's so surprising that after US, we are right behind. We are right behind US. If US is the most depressed country, and we think that US is highly materialistic, so it's very depressed. Obviously, it doesn't have any family, broken families, this, that. What about us? We are just behind US. I take this course. I took a course in our university, though I'm an economist, but because I do a lot of Bhagavad Gita and stuff. So I was asked to teach this course for students called Happiness and Self-Awareness. And it's very interesting to know when I said that, did you know that India is the second most depressed country? Not many of them were surprised because most of the students that I taught were depressed themselves. And it's not that, where do you teach? No, it doesn't have to do with any of that. You look around, teens are the most depressed. Somehow, across the world. And definitely also in our country, the kind of stress levels, the kind of competition that we are going through, subjecting ourselves. So, somehow, even after these people have everything that they want, all of us, all the basic necessities we do have, but leading to suicides, and we've heard so many of them. Right? It's not funny at all. It's not funny, and one wonders, is there a solution? And sometimes the feeling, solution is that, kuch nahi chaate lagao, sab theek ho jayega. Lot of parents say this to their children, kuch nahi chaar thapad lagao, sab theek ho jayega. Teachers also say that. It's not that. It's definitely not that, because we are in an environment where there is everything possible. There is all the comfort that we are trying to give. We ourselves are experiencing. But despite that, we feel no meaning in life. Right? We feel that there is some emptiness which has to be filled up. And people are slowly turning towards filling that emptiness through different ways. Right? And sometimes they feel that no, maybe on days, that's why we have weekends, which are like a big thing everywhere. Weekend. Like, weekend means happiness. Is it true? After that, there's another Monday coming. Yes? So we have, okay, weekend and then Monday blues. We are okay with it. Say, okay, Monday will come, but weekend will also come. Is that all? Is this what we are actually, kind of getting used to? Even though we have all of this, and there are so many people who have the best of everything, yet they are taking to this horrible decision of ending their lives, which means the kind of pain that they've gone through. Yes, they've gone through some pain which was, they felt no hope. So they decided to just give up. Do you all know of any names, famous personalities? Sushant Singh Rajput, see, this is very recent. Anybody else? Michael Jackson died of natural something, heart attack or something. But we have Robin Williams. How many of you know?
Coffee Day.
Cafe Coffee Day? Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, that was such a shocker, isn't it? Cafe Coffee Day, such a big man, good family. He just jumped off. And nobody even anticipated that. Robin Williams is a comedian. Yes, and he's a very famous comedian. And he ended his life. The one you thought was always so funny and happy. There is something missing for sure, and this is what is missing, the spiritual need. Right? We are missing that. And unless we go to the root, it's not going to solve, no matter what we have. That doesn't reduce the importance of other things, but completely acknowledging and accepting it's incomplete. That's incomplete. I will not be happy till I come here. So you can see this. David Myers is a very famous psychologist. And he says, compared with their grandparents, today's young adults have grown up with much more affluence, slightly less happiness, and much greater risk of depression and disordered social pathology. This is the truth. This is the research that he has done, and he has come to this conclusion. Right? What was the gap? What did our grandparents or parents not pass that we are in this situation now? Yes. So there are a lot of zeros here, you see. What are these zeros? It says, like I said, all of the other things are important. Also other needs, education be it, wealth be it, beauty, strength, fame, power, influence, designations. All of these, we are hankering for all of this, but they are really zero. Why? What is the point if all of these things are there yet you decide to just give up your hope and end your life? So, there is that one, which is spirituality. And now all of these zeros, they are so valuable. By themselves, they were zero. But now just one came before that. And now, how much is this? What is the value of this? Maths. 10 crores? From zero to where he went. Yes. Why? Because we add spirituality, we add value, real value. Until we don't do that, everything is really zero. So we are looking at how some of these personalities had the touch of spirituality. Just the touch of spirituality. And why? What does spirituality mean? Mostly, what do we understand? We understand spirituality as being good human beings. Yes, doing good to others, being compassionate, doing charity, this, that. But that's the first layer of spirituality. That's not everything. But that itself gives you so much happiness. Why otherwise would Mother Teresa do what she did? Why otherwise would Ratan Tata continue to do so much philanthropy unless he feels happy about it? Yeah? And this personality, not many of you all know in the center. Does anybody know who she is?
Yeah, she was abandoned by her own family.
Right. So she's Sindhu Tai Sapkar. And she's a very, I'm so inspired by her story. I tell all my students also about Sindhu Tai Sapkar. Sindhu Tai was, and to keep the story very, very short, she was born in a very poor family in Maharashtra. and got married at a very young age of 9 years. And then, which all of us know happens in India. And then, by the time she was 21, she had three children, and the fourth one she was carrying already. She was really young. But the most significant aspect of her story is that while she was 6 years old, she would herd buffaloes and run to school when the buffaloes were, herding on their own. She would go, she would attend the government school, and then every day get beatings because she would be late, but run back. So she had this thing to do something. She would do that, and then 9 years got married, and then after that she was working in a factory, these workers, because she was coming from a very poor family. She was beaten by her husband, like all of us know, alcoholic and all that. But to cut a lot of events off the story, which you can always Google her up and check the entire story, it really makes a very good read. She was thrown out by her husband because of false accusations while she was carrying, and she was beaten by her husband and thrown. She actually dragged herself to a nearby cowshed and she gave birth there. She managed to cut the umbilical cord herself, survived that ordeal, and didn't know where to go to feed the baby, feed herself. Imagine in that situation. But it is described that she actually went to a crematorium where she would get, they offer grains there in the crematorium. So she would take that, she would use the fire there, and she survived. But it was a horrible life that she was leading. Now she was on the verge of giving up her body. She said, what's the point? There's no way I can survive like this. So she decided to end her life by taking her baby, and she decided to fall on a railway track and give up her body. When she was going, she heard a cry, an old person's cry, and she couldn't stop herself from finding out who that was. So she went towards this, where the sound was coming from, and she realized an old man was on the road, and he was, holding his stomach and crying out for water. He said, please give me some water. And Sindhu died. She couldn't stop herself. She ran here, there, found some water, and she gave him. And then she just sat under a tree. And she describes that when she sat under the tree, she saw that the tree was completely barren. But one branch had a small shoot of leaves. And she said, I have to live. She found hope. She said, no, I have to live. I have a calling. She said, I have to do something for others. Can you imagine? She had nothing for herself. And she feels that I must do something for others. She felt, when she gave water to this old man, she felt so much, the kind of hope. Happy, I don't know, but hope.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Some kind of thing that, no, maybe I should do. And since then, what she started doing was, she actually gathered all the children around, all the destitute children, those who were abandoned, those who were on the... So she started gathering all of the orphans. And she started bringing them up. So it's very amazing that she did not want to take up to begging. Initially she was forced, but she said, no, I don't want to beg. This is not what I want to engage the children in. So she actually, whatever she had learned as a child, in small villages they know how to stitch, they know how to weave, they don't know all that. So she actually started doing that. Of course, there were, here and there, people somehow noticed this, identified, and somebody gave her something, some old lady gave her something and something. So she was staying in an abandoned building like that, of municipality building was there, so she was just staying there. And then someone saw this and then, donated a small place. So this Sindhutai was with her daughter. She, gathered initially 4 and then 5, and this grew to hundreds of children. It became one of the biggest orphanages, and all of them became like self-sustainable orphanage. She was engaging herself and all the children there, and sending them to school. And it is so amazing while she's giving this interview. She's saying how all these children are now placed in many, many different important positions. Somebody became an engineer, somebody became a lawyer. Imagine, she did that. And then the interviewer asks, who's this lady sitting next to you? So she introduces her as some doctor, something, something. So she says, oh, is she also a part of your orphanage? So she says, she's the daughter who was born in the cowshed. Just imagine. It is so beautiful. So this is just the beginning of spirituality. Right? So imagine what more happiness will a full-fledged spiritual life give us. How much peaceful we can become, how much more hope we can develop, and how much more meaning to our lives. Otherwise, what's the meaning? Sometimes I wonder, right? One has to wonder. Why? It starts with that. It just goes on. What next? Is there any bigger plan that we understand? Or we just going, moving like that? Right? So, yeah. Yes. So these are the people with lot of meaning. And what we are trying to say is, if a touch of spirituality where you're selfless, you're free from pride, you feel a lot of compassion, if this kind of stuff can give you so much satisfaction and pleasure, then what about a spiritual life, a mature spiritual life, right? So, can one of you read this? Anybody wants to read this statement? You want to read? Whoever. Want to read? Anybody wants to read? Please read. Well, yeah, read.
Divine words from the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Every one of us is searching after happiness. But we do not know what real happiness is. We see so much advertised about happiness. But practically speaking, we see so few happy people. This is because so few people know that the platform of real happiness is beyond temporary. It is this real happiness that is described in Bhagavad Gita by Lord Pushkarni.
Right. Thank you very much. Right? So the more we look or chase after temporary things, everything. Imagine everything is temporary. Now wonder PhD किया, अभी next birth में ABCD से शुरू होगा. वापस. Isn't it? That's the truth. That we finished. And we have to start again. So, is there anything that says, no, it's okay, this will stay in your bank balance forever? Let's see. So, we're looking for the source of ultimate happiness in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Which is actually the real wealth, which will get you rid of these. If you can see, I'm going to put all of them on the screen, and you can see that they are antonyms. Yes, opposites. Arrogance, humility. Greed, generosity. Revenge, forgiveness. Indifference, compassion. And it's quite obvious, isn't it? That which side gives you happiness? Yes, the green side gives you happiness. It's quite obvious. So we want to give up all of these. We want to give up arrogance and say that actually speaking, happiness is in my hands. Happiness can be learned. Think about this. Happiness can be learned. Happiness can be learned. Yes? And that's what we're trying to do. Arrogance, greed, revenge, indifference. We give up that and we go to humility, generosity, forgiveness, compassion. Right? Looks like it's not moving to the next slide. Escape? Now it went? Yeah, thank you. So the goal of the Gita course is to help you understand the divine teachings of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which can ensure a positive, enthusiastic, forbearing, divine consciousness. right? Even so, yeah. One is that when we are in difficulty, then you're looking for solutions. But when we're not in difficulty, then what? What is our day-to-day practice? All of that. But in general, our outlook towards life becomes more positive, more enthusiastic. So we develop a lot of resilience, forbearing, and with a consciousness which aims at the green. That's divine. It's as simple. Divine is nothing that you have a light behind. No, there is nothing like that. Divine is just that green, those qualities listed in the green column. Yes, all of that, humility and compassion and all of that. So now we'll look at very quickly the background of the Bhagavad Gita. How many of you all have some background of Bhagavad Gita? Why, where it was spoken? Okay, the little girl has. Okay, thank you. So most of you, quite a few of you all have some background. So we know, some of you have watched Mahabharata also, that so the Pandavas were living in the forest even before the little Pandavas were born. It was their father, Pandu. Yes, he was living in the forest along with his two wives, Madri and Kunti. And that was because we know that Pandu was cursed. Yeah, and what was the curse? He was cursed that he cannot unite with his wife. Right? If he does so, he will immediately die. Because he had actually done something very, very wrong. Right? He had killed somebody. So that was the result of that wrong act. And it so happened that Pandu united with Madri and he died. And Kunti was left because Madri also ended her life after her husband Pandu. But Kunti was left and she was a very special queen. We hear a lot about Kunti. Actually speaking, before I came to Krishna consciousness, or I started reading more, I didn't know that Kunti was so extraordinary. She's a superhero actually. We hear of superheroes only as all the men, Arjuna and all of them, but we don't know the superheroes are here also. Some of these women are real superheroes. Kunti was one among them. She single-handedly brought up 5 children. We know this. But even before that, Kunti was a very sweet daughter of her father, Kunti Bhoja, and sage Durvasa had visited them. And in those days, sages used to come home, and nowadays, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. So we can't relate to it so much. But imagine some very nice person, a saintly person coming to your place. But this sage Durvasa, he had a special quality. Does anybody know? What is that? Short-tempered, extremely short-tempered. So though he is very powerful and he is very austere, he is also very short-tempered. So everybody is like, you go. Nobody wants to go near him and serve him. But when he came there, this little girl, Kunti, she was sent to serve him. And imagine this little girl very fearlessly. Why? Because she was so nice. She was so good. There was no way, her father was so confident that there's no way that she'll commit a mistake. There's no way that she'll displease Sage Durvasa. So she was, preparing his puja thing and bringing flowers and doing all that, serving him so sweetly. Like this little girl would, she was serving. And Durvasa was so happy. After, towards the end of his visit, he said, I'm so happy. I want to give you some special blessing. So it's not that always you're cursed. There's sometimes blessings also. So he said, I want to give you a blessing. And what's that blessing? That you just have to chant this special mantra that I give you, and you can invite any of the devata from anywhere, and they will actually give you a child. And this girl herself was so small. She said, what kind of a power I got? What kind of a mantra I got? She was very curious to see if it works. Because she was small. When Sage Durvasa went, she ran back. And she said, now I have to check. Does it work? Is the devata going to come to me? So she looked who will I call? And she saw the sun was shining so bright. She said, Suryadev. So she nicely chanted the mantra. And there was Suryadev, and she said, no, you can go. And Suryadev was like, no, I cannot go now. I will have to give you a child. She herself is a child. She said, what? Yeah, I'll have to give you this child now. So Suryadev gives her Karna. We all know this, right? And this little Kunti, she didn't know what to do of him. But she was, alert enough to understand the societal implications. In those days it was even more prominent, I'm sure. If in these days still we have some little bit of left. So in those days it was more prominent. She understood that already, I'm not even married and I have a child. What will people say about me? This is not right. So she put this little baby into a box, a casket, and she discarded him with this box into a river. This is what she did. And we all know later Karna was taken back. All that. But later, when Kunti grew up and so she knew this, and so before Pandu died, and because Pandu knew that he was cursed, he knew that he'll never have children, so he requested Kunti to chant those mantras and get sons. So from Kunti, we know that she first invited or invoked the god of Dharma, who is Yamaraj, this god of Dharma. We often see Yamaraj as one like that, no? God of death, with moustache and all. He's waiting to chop you like that. It's actually the god of Dharma, which means he knows what is right, what is wrong. Therefore, he has been assigned the most difficult task, right? So she invoked him, and from him came Yudhishthira. Then she invoked Vayu, the wind god, and from him came Bhima. Then she invoked who? Indra, who is the king of demigods, all the devtas. So from him came Arjuna. And then she was kind enough to give that mantra, that knowledge to even Madri, because she was feeling that I don't have children. And Madri, she invoked the Ashwini Kumaras. They are the presiding deities for medicine. So she invited Ashwini Kumara, and from him she got twins, Nakula and Sahadeva. So Kunti, she was so kind to take care of Nakula and Sahadeva after Madri left, and very brave. Yeah, she did this. She returned back to the kingdom, but nobody was waiting for her. So she went, but not really. So we know that the Pandavas, Pandu, he had a brother, Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra had these evil sons. We know, yes. 100 evil sons. Very, very wicked. And again, somebody asks me, why do you have to label them as wicked? Yes. All of us have wicked qualities and good qualities. It's just that which quality are you giving more food? Are you nourishing your wicked qualities more, and you feel that it's okay to be jealous, to be greedy, to be angry, to be this, then you would be classified in, under something. So predominantly these 100 sons of Dhritarashtra were extremely cruel. They were very, very envious. And envy is such a horrible quality. Very difficult to get rid of it. And Dhritarashtra, he was blind. And he was blind not just in his eyes, but he was also blind from inside. Because he was so attached to his wicked sons. So whatever they did, he was like, okay. He never corrected them. And Dhritarashtra, not seeing what qualities his son had, Duryodhana, he wanted him to become the king. But, some people who were there, Bhishma was the grandfather, then there was Vidura, who was actually also the one of the brothers, Dhritarashtra, Pandu and Vidura. They were all brothers, but born from different mothers. And Vidura was very nice. He was very, he was very sober. And he knew that this is not right. Duryodhana is not fit to become the king. It's actually Yudhishthira who is fit to become the king. And in many ways they proved it also. One very simple, very small thing that happened was, Vidura said, he told Duryodhana, go and bring somebody who has at least one quality better than you. And he told Yudhishthira, go and bring somebody who has one quality less than you. And both of them go. Search. Go and search. And both of them come back Both of them say we didn't find. You see the difference? But Duryodhana did not find anybody who is better than him. And Yudhishthira did not find anybody who has at least one quality less than him. He felt that, no, everybody is nice. And that was Yudhishthira's vision. And therefore he was qualified to become the king, not Duryodhana. And the Kauravas, Dhritarashtra's sons and all called Kauravas, they were not happy with it. And they tried in every which way to kill the Pandavas. Every plot. Yes. So all your soap operas, the origin is there. Yes, it began with that. It began with all plotting and strategizing and dhang and all that happened there. So Pandavas went through so much of tribulation. We all know the most famous incident of how Draupadi was disrobed in front of everybody. There was a plan to disrobe her. What age? Just imagine. Now it is, even now it is so difficult to digest something like that. What would it have been then? In front of so many, elders, so many people. It was a very difficult task, and also we know how they planned to kill them by setting this fire, setting this palace on fire. We've heard this here and there, or we've watched Mahabharata. But the point was that there was so much of injustice that these Kauravas did to the Pandavas that the war became inevitable. Not that the war was not avoided. Many times the war was, was kind of postponed. No need, forgive, chalo, it's over. The Kauravas, they came back after so much also and said that no problem, just give us place enough for 5 needles. We will stay there. But Dhritarashtra said, no, we're not giving you any place. You're not going to get anything. They never. So why is it? Why did they want some place? No, one has to understand that the Pandavas were all princely. They belonged to the warrior class, which means what? They had the inclination to protect, to rule and protect. Just as some of you all have academic inclinations. Some of you all have probably inclination towards maybe intellectual some stimulation. Some of you all have inclination towards nice homemaking and things like that. And somebody stops you, you feel agitated. So the Pandavas are like, we have to do it. It's our dharma. We need at least some place where we can rule and take care. But the Kauravas would not agree, and therefore the war was inevitable. And this very, very first verse in the Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra was a blind king, like I said. He had an assistant called Sanjaya, and Sanjaya had a super power given to him. It's like a transmission of the war. He could see. Yes, to put it simply, like a television, and he could see that, and he would narrate what's happening on the battlefield to Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra, when the war was about to begin, he asks this very first question: Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yudhusavaha Mamakaha Pandavashaiva Kimapurvata Sanjaya. He said, okay, all of them have gathered in Kurukshetra. That's the place where the war was going to happen. But he also qualifies it as Dharmakshetra, which means it's a religious place. This Kurukshetra was also a dham, like you have Char Dham and all that. Kurukshetra is a dham. So he said, why did he ask this very funny question? It's like asking, okay, those people who were hungry, they went to the restaurant, what did they do? What did they do? They eat only. Why did he ask this very funny question? He said, okay, those children of Pandu and my own children, they all gathered on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. What will they do now? What are they going to do? They're going to fight. But why does he ask this question? Because he's afraid. There's fear in Dhritarashtra's mind. He says, will this religious place, Dharmakshetra, probably have some kind of an influence on my children? Where they begin to think that, no need of the war. Why this? Think of it. When you go, if has anybody been to any religious place, Tirupati or Srirangam or Mathura, Vrindavan, one of these places, how does it feel? When we go there, do you feel like scrolling on your Facebook so much as you scroll here? We don't. Do we scroll on all those YouTube videos or whatever? We don't scroll there naturally. It becomes Tirupati एक दिन जाते उसमें कहाँ scroll करेंगे? Yeah, we're waiting to see the Lord. Because in these places you can't do such thing. You can't do wrong. It feels very difficult. So he's asking this question. That what in this religious place of Kurukshetra, what happened? Did my children, what did they do? So you see, we'll see that in the Mahabharata war when it is about to begin, we know three very important characters right at the beginning in the first chapter. One is Dhritarashtra, and the other is Arjuna, and the other is also Duryodhana. All three of them are mentioned in this first chapter. And all three of them were afraid. All three of them were afraid. But look at their response. Think about this point. Dhritarashtra was afraid. But how did he respond? He was immobile. He froze. Sometimes when you are afraid, you freeze. He froze. He didn't know what's going on. What did Duryodhana do? He was also afraid. What did he do? We learn from the Bhagavad Gita, he marched towards his teacher, Dronacharya. He didn't go to the commander-in-chief who was Bhishma. He didn't go there. Where did he go? He went to Dronacharya, his teacher. And what did he tell Dronacharya? All strategy. That's the second way in which we can respond to fear. And we have manipulation, not strategy in a good sense. Manipulate. How did he manipulate him? He said, look at this, what your disciple has, how he has arranged the army and all that he's telling. He was trying to kind of put him down and boost him. Look what they have done. You have taught them all this. But I know that, you will fight. So he very nicely manipulated, and that's one way we respond to fear. But we also know Arjuna was in complete dilemma. Why? Arjuna saw, who did he see in the battlefield? Who has come to fight? His own grandfather, his own teacher, all his relatives, his cousins, so many would have been there, no? All his same family. His own friends, he would have played with them, all that. And he's seeing they're all ready. They're waiting to fight against him. And he completely loses it. He gets down so low. He will say, I cannot fight. I just cannot fight. So that, a description of what he went through is given in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It says, my hands are shivering. He says, my bow is falling down. My throat is parched. We feel like that. We can't swallow when we're very afraid. All that was happening to Arjuna. He was feeling extremely confused. And this Arjuna is not an ordinary person. He's a great hero. He's not somebody who would get afraid like you and I would. We will get afraid if a balloon bursts here. Look what happened. But Arjuna was not like that. Arjuna had gone through so many trials and tribulations. He was a warrior. He has seen so much blood and death and everything he has seen. It's not that. What is it? Why is it that Arjuna gets into depression? The classic legendary depression which gives rise to Bhagavad Gita. It's to address this depression that Krishna starts speaking. No, that was not for this. That's something else. Right? So Krishna, he begins this very, very, very merciful, very Krishna, very kind. He understands Arjuna's situation. He says, now I have to somehow or the other support him. I have to tell him something, motivate him. Yes? So he begins to motivate Krishna, which is what we are all looking for. Some motivation in life. And motivation not in the sense of, what ordinarily you hear of motivational talks outside and you feel that, sunne ko acha laga. But what is the practical implication of that? Yeah, it's a nice positive boost. But what is the practical implementation? How do I practice something? So we are going to discuss open secrets, like I told you, which you will be able to apply. And today we are going to discuss one such very powerful implementation, and which we will continue throughout all our sessions. But each session will have a different secret. But this particular secret that we'll discuss today will be continued throughout. So that's how important it is. But before that, it's time for a very short story. Yeah. All of you see this picture? What is one thing that you have to talk about. Only one word from this picture. Each one of you is allowed to only say one word from this picture. What would that word be? Anything. Any one word from this picture. Choose. Cuteness. Okay. Naughty. Okay. Nature. Okay. Happiness. Okay. Beauty. Okay. Innocence. One more. Attraction. Okay. What more can you see in the picture? Okay, Krishna. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Krishna. What else? Peacock feather. Thank you. So that's the story about today. Why does Krishna wear peacock feather? Yes. In every picture of Krishna, have you seen him wear peacock feather? So much so that when you see a peacock feather, do you think of Krishna?
Yes.
Many of us do, isn't it? The moment we see a peacock feather, immediately the picture of Krishna comes to our mind. Imagine what power a peacock feather has to help us remember Krishna. The yogis are all meditating, and supposed to remember Krishna. But here there is just one peacock feather. So let's try and hear this story, this very sweet story of why Krishna wears this peacock feather. So we know that Krishna, when he was small, he would go out with his friends herding cows. He's a cowherd boy. So funny. And we worship him. So he's a cowherd boy going out with his friends. And they have a great time in the forest. If the cows are herding, they all play. And every other day Krishna kills one demon like that, And we'll hear more stories of that. But they have a lot of fun. And then in the afternoon, they all gather, sit around like that and eat together. So nice, like a picnic every day. Yes, they eat together. And then after they eat, they take a little short nap. A siesta, afternoon siesta. They take a little nap. So on one such day, after the nap, Krishna is the first one to wake up. And he sees all his friends are still sleeping. So he smiles and he says, okay, how will I wake them up? So his very special way of waking them up is not like, like we all get woken up by our parents when we were small, like, hey, put. Yes, or an alarm buzzing there. Krishna has decided to open his flute and start playing on his flute. So beautifully, he started playing on his flute. It was so beautiful that all the peacocks nearby, they came hopping towards him. They were so attracted to that sound. And we all know that peacocks dance. So they started dancing. So beautifully they started dancing. In proper rhythm, the way Krishna was playing his flute. And they started playing just with the right beats. And Krishna liked it so much. Now all the friends were awake. And Krishna was seeing that the peacocks are dancing. And he jumped among them, among the peacocks. And he also started dancing. And imagine, the peacocks were all the more encouraged to dance more beautifully. Because Krishna is dancing with them. So they were also dancing. And Krishna was dancing. And it was going on for so much time. So long. That Krishna is dancing and the peacocks are dancing. And Krishna in between he plays the flute. And then there are beautiful formations that are happening, and everybody in the forest was stunned to look at this. What's going on? All the friends, all the birds, all the trees, everybody was watching. What's going on? This is so beautiful. After a very, very long time of this, this Maha dance that was going on, the peacocks actually, they paused, they stopped and they said, we'll watch him dance. They just stopped because they wanted to see Krishna dance. They all gathered around and they just paused to see him dance, and Krishna went on and on and on for such a long time that after the dance, one of the peacocks went up to Krishna and touched his feet, had a tear in its eyes, and said, how can we thank you? You have taught so much today. You danced with us and you taught so many ways to dance today. What can we offer you? The only thing that we have is our peacock feathers. The most beautiful thing that they have is their feathers. So this peacock dropped off a few feathers at Krishna's feet, and all of them followed suit. They all came and dropped feathers. And then Krishna said, I'm so indebted to you that you gave me such a good time, that you allowed me to dance and have so much fun. So now on, I'm always going to wear this peacock feather on my head. Isn't that a very sweet story? Yes, about why Krishna wears peacock feathers. It's about how Krishna likes when you offer him something very small, but also that how we can offer the best that we have, whatever that is. Some of you have great skills and whatever that is. It's not just about singing and dancing. Some of you may be very good in your work, in your profession also. Can we offer that to Krishna? That's a question we will answer. Everything we can please him through whatever we do. Right? That was a little story before we go to the open secret. Yes, today we're going to learn this very important secret that we're going to apply in our lives, which is there in the Bhagavad Gita. This is a part of Bhagavad Gita, one of the most important verses, which says, Sahayajna praja srishtva puro vacha prajapati anena prasavishwadvam eshavostroshtakamatam. So Krishna is saying here, in the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, be thou happy by this yajna or sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and a prosperous life. Let's not come here. Yeah. So, what is this sacrifice? Krishna is saying that after creating everything, I have, creating all the living entities, the men and the devtas and women and everybody. He says, you be happy now with this sacrifice. With what sacrifice? You perform this sacrifice, he's saying. What sacrifice are we supposed to perform? He says, by doing this sacrifice, you're going to be happy. He's giving the very first clue for us to be happy in our lives. And it might feel that, I thought there is something more to happiness, right? But now we are hearing that this is just this one sacrifice. And what is that sacrifice which Krishna is going to talk about in the Bhagavad Gita is elaborated very nicely in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, it is said, Krite yad dhyayator Vishnum Tretayam yajato makhai dvapare paricharyayam kalau tat hari kirtanam. It says that whatever sacrifice you did in Krita. All of us know there are 4 ages, the time cycle or the time as defined by the Vedic scriptures is not the same as the way we define now. Yes? How we define time, how we look at time, it's a linear thing, as we know. Correct? We know it as linear. All of you understand what's linear? Straight line. Yes. So BC or AD. That's how we know it. Right? But the Vedic scriptures don't explain time like that. How do they explain time? That it goes in cycle. So it goes in cycle. It's not linear. It's a cycle. So it begins with which yuga? It is Satya Yuga. It says it begins with Satya Yuga. Then there is Treta Yuga. Then there is Dwapara Yuga. And then there is Kali Yuga. And once, after Kali Yuga, we go back to Satya Yuga. That's how it is. But modern understanding of time is not like this. Right? It goes in a straight line. So it's said here in Srimad Bhagavatam that each of these yugas or ages, they have a specific sacrifice which Krishna has assigned. He said, you will be happy in this age doing this. You will be happy in this age, you do this. Just like you would call out in the class, you would call out, you come here, for you it's this, for you it's this. So he has assigned. For each age, he has assigned a certain activity. So he says in Satya Yuga, what was it? It was like very, very severe meditation. Now you meditate, and by continuous meditation, you will be happy. Which we have little experience of meditation. All of you, I'm sure, have heard of meditation and all that. So this was actually prescribed for those years. Why? Because meditation requires an environment. Yeah, it requires an environment. It requires you to be in that kind of a frame of mind to be able to sit quiet without thinking anything. It's also recommended where one has to sit, how one has to sit absolutely straight, and not indulging in any other things. All that. That was Satya Yuga. And then came Treta Yuga, where what was recommended was sacrifices. Swaha, sometimes we've seen that. Right? A lot of home and havans they happen in the fire. So that was recommended for Treta Yuga. After that was Dwapara Yuga, and what was recommended was worship in temples for the deities. It was recommended that you have big temples and you worship the big deities, and you'll be very happy doing that. So in Dwapara Yuga, the temples were very opulent, and opulent worship is to happen. But for Kali Yuga, what is it? Very difficult for me to sit like that. Very expensive on the pocket to put ghee in the sacrifice. I can't do that. And it's also very difficult for me to have big opulent temples like that. Yeah, like what used to be. So what do? I just chant Krishna's names. Just Hari Kirtana. So Satsanga with Nama. With Hari Nama. Right? Otherwise it can be missed like this. Because it's so simple. Like, there is nothing there. You just chant something. But this is what is recommended. It is said that only chanting Krishna's names, Hari Kirtana, Hari is Krishna's names. Yes. Just do that and you will get the same happiness which you got by meditating or sacrificing or sacrifices or deity worship. That's what is recommended. And therefore, this is the translation. Whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's what is something which we are going to practically bring into our lives. Yes, we are actually going to see what's so beautifully mentioned here in one of the Upanishads, Kali Santarana it's called. These 16 names, composed of 32 syllables, are the only means to counteract the evil effects of Kali Yuga. In all the Vedas, it is seen that to cross the ocean of nations, there is no alternative to the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashakam Namna Kali Kalmashanashanam Nata Karataropaya Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. You can't see any other upaya. Upaya means solution. There is no other upaya. Only these 16 names. They are the best which are offered in all the Vedas. This is what is very, very clearly mentioned to us. 16 syllables. Sorry?
The meaning of each.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that also before we go. Uh, so this particular verse, which was actually a conversation between Brahma, the creator, and Sage Narada. Yes? Because Sage Narada, he looks at the world and he says, they are in we are a troubled lot. There's no doubt about it. Right? So, Bhagavatam also describes us, our job profile, our description, how it is. Not the job profile, our CV. How it goes? Manda sumanda madaya, manda bhagya upadhrita. This is how we are described. Manda, manda means dull-headed. Sumanda madaya, kind of less, we're not able to perceive things as they are. And not very fortunate. Why we say we're not fortunate? What is it? I feel I'm okay, I'm doing all right. Why are we not fortunate? We don't take, simply speaking, we don't take to spiritual life easily. We are either driven by a lot of logic, yes, we want a lot of explanation, or we are driven by magic, miracles. We want to see miracles, overnight something. If somebody gives me gold immediately, then I will agree that he or she is God. Naito, what is the big deal? So that's why we are unfortunate. Because we don't realize, we don't take up to spiritual life very easily. Yes, and upadhrita, which means we are always disturbed. We are always disturbed. Either the boss is disturbing us, or at home somebody is disturbing us. It could be our parents or parents-in-law. I don't know. Yeah, depending on your situation. Somebody is disturbing us all the time. Or something suddenly happened in family. We are disturbed. And therefore, this mantra was given by Narada Muni. What's the meaning of the mantra? So if you see, they're only names. They're only names. So it's in the vocative. So I don't know how many. So vocative means the name. Only the name comes, right? It's not in Sanskrit. You have different. Say for example, how many of you all know Sanskrit here? I don't know. Some bit. So when you have Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, yes, all of us are learned in school. Whoever has taken Sanskrit, of course. So it's like, okay, one Rama, two Rama, so many Ramas. The Ramam, Rama, two Rama. You're giving it to. So what you have done even in Hindi, Kartane, Karam, Ko, Karan, say. Yes, we have studied this. So that is Karta, Karam, Karan. Like this we. But the last one is what? Sambodhan. When you are just addressing somebody. That is Sambodhan, isn't it? That's the last. Right? Hey Ram. So this is exactly like that. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is addressing Krishna, as you can see. Addressing Krishna and also addressing Krishna's energy. And saying that please, somehow or the other, keep me with you. It's as simple as that. Let me be with you, let me engage in your service. This mantra is very, very simple yet profound. It's nothing, with a big translation. It just goes with the names. The translation, the meaning of it is, O Krishna, who is the most attractive, all-attractive one. O Rama, O energy of Krishna, O energy of Lord Rama. Please engage me. Please engage me in your service. Which means to keep me with you. Right? Because Krishna is the source of all happiness. And what happens is, we have this emptiness in our heart and we try to fill it up with so many things. Right? There's a hole in our heart and we say, ek ghar, ek car bhi de do, ek ye de do. So we are filling it up. Imagine, this hole that's there, we are filling it up, filling it up, filling it up. It's like a bottomless pit. It's a bottomless pit. What do we have to fill? Krishna. Because Krishna is the source of all happiness. We just fill it with Krishna and then it suddenly feels that it's healed. It's covered, it's closed. And that's what we are asking for. That's all that we're looking for. You're saying that, oh Krishna, keep me with you. So that this hole doesn't, now and then it doesn't, like Bangalore roads. Doesn't happen that way. Just keep me always with you. Right? Any other, before we open it up for questions, we'll just see a few examples of how all these people. We have Rishikesh Mafatlal, many of you all have heard of him. He's a big business tycoon who chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and he feels right, confidence and peace of mind. Somebody read it. Similarly, this is Anne Schoffers. She's a Dutch model and she says that chanting helped me give up my bad habits. It changed my vision of things. This is also another leading Indian industrialist who says that this is the most pleasurable activity. This is a Jane Lana. She is a jewelry designer and she says very nicely, chanting makes me more perceptive, more in harmony with everything and everyone around me. This is so nice. Yes? Such beautifully put. That it changes your perception. It's the same word. It's the same people. Nothing changes. You change. And that's what we are looking at. Yeah? You can't change the world. You can't change the people around you. But often we are doing only that. अरे तुम समझते क्यों नहीं? They will not. Yes, we are trying to explain to other people. We are trying to change the other people. Now we open it up for questions before we actually practically implement this. So what we are going to do is after your question and answers, we'll have a practical session of how to chant. Yes, how does one chant? How does one bring this into our daily life? Alright? Okay. So if you have any reflections, any questions, any comments, please feel free. So in the classroom, I often say this. After a class, a teacher asks for questions, and if there are no questions, either the students were all sleeping or they have perfectly understood everything. So I don't know where you belong to. So you're waiting with the mic. It could be even a reflection. It's something which you could resonate with. Something which you feel that, I think this point I'll take back. Could be anything.
The thing that you have mentioned about yugas like Satyuga, Dwapar, Treta, I have heard from some like Prabhuji that the jivas came out when Lord Vishnu he breathed out. So jivas came out and then they go back there, when he inhaled. So my question is like in Satyuga everybody will be doing some meditation there, some severe meditation there. So we are very fallen souls. We are very fallen souls. So after Kali Yuga will destroy. So we will be eligible to go into the Satyuga, or what is the process? How it goes?
Technical question. Much depends, of course, on our karma. Like you qualified ourselves as fallen souls, so we're not so fallen. So, yes, this cycle will go on, and the way it functions is very perfectly. So only those people who are eligible to come back, in the sense that definitely once everything is destroyed after the total devastation, it'll start afresh. So we get a chance again, right? But it's not as easy in the sense whatever I do, I'll be there. No, it'll be difficult for me depending on what activities I do in my life. But yes, the cycle will go on. It's not that I'm there in the Satya Yuga and I may have committed a lot of sinful activities or whatever. It takes probably longer for me to achieve that happiness through meditation again in Satya Yuga. it's not so easily answerable like this. But what we understand is this cycle is on, right? This cycle is on, and we are being given chance again and again and again, right? Again and again to, and what is this happiness? Very superficially we understand this that, okay, I feel satisfied, like somebody said, yeah, I feel happy, but then that's also not complete. That's not complete in the sense that all of these processes are for more than happiness, they are for self-realization. And that's what is giving you happiness actually. And therefore to realize ourselves. So that process is meant for self-realization, understanding who I am, and then beginning to put things in the right perspective. Right? So the process, depending on you, depending on your activities, will take you longer, make it tougher or easier. Yes, but the cycle will be on. We'll be given chance again.
Yeah, so
No, but for everybody is.
Okay, fine. So actually, I think everybody knows that story that after this war was done, everybody died. So when Arjuna and Pandavas went to Swargaloka, they saw Dhritarashtra and everyone was there. I think. So that story when I heard about that. So I feel like if they were doing everything wrong, they should not be in Swargaloka. And second thing, Pandavas, especially Arjuna, so he got the knowledge himself by Lord Krishna. Then he don't deserve to be in Swargaloka. He should be somewhere else. And if everyone is going to end up in Swargaloka, then
What's the big deal?
what is the difference? Why should one do good karma or bad karma?
Right. So again, a technical question in the sense it has to do with facts. So you will hear of all of these different stories in different Puranas to give you different messages. Okay. So and there is apparently it might feel contradictory, but there is no contradiction. And how do we resolve the conflict or the contradiction? Is to understand you are absolutely right that if you buy a ticket to say Singapore, then you will have to go to Singapore only. You can't go to US, right? Which is true. So depending on what we do, we will go there. And in that sense, if Arjuna is in Swargaloka, it's unfair if Dhritarashtra is also there. But that's only a part of the story. The Pandavas are supposed to be, or they are celebrated as very, very pure devotees of Krishna. And their destination is definitely not just Swargaloka, like you put it. Swargaloka is very temporary. Right? It's another place where you enjoy, like you're going on a vacation, but after the vacation gets over, you're back. So it's like that, and Pandavas are not eternally there. Pandavas, they are always eternally there, Krishna's servants. So they are eternally engaged in serving Krishna. So the story which talks about them visiting Swargaloka is not complete, in the sense it's not the end. Right? So, like I said, these stories are for different instructions, and they're just part of the story. And the whole is maybe very difficult to figure out everybody's whole story, but the essence is very clear. The essence is that true. Everybody will reach their destination as per their activities, as the degree of their surrender to Krishna. Yes. Mike, can you pass it there? Oh, she has a question. Let's finish this and then come back to her.
So Mataji, my question is about sacrifice. So, as you said that in the spiritual need, we need to sacrifice to gain that happiness. But how do we ensure that that sacrifice is being used in a good way? Because it's like Kali Yuga, right? So sometimes we sacrifice something for the wellness or maybe the betterment or help others. But how do we make sure that that thing is being utilized in the way we have transferred?
Very good question. So, yes, when we said sacrifice, we made it, the shloka said very clearly that sacrifice is taking different forms in different ages. Yes, that's the first thing to understand. The sacrifice recommended is taking different forms. And we said, okay, meditation, sacrifice, fire sacrifice, which is also a sacrifice. That's not the only sacrifice. That's what we need to understand. Normally, when you talk about sacrifice, you feel only home or havan is a sacrifice. No. Sacrifice could be anything else, even the time. Yes, even your energy. Because all that is sacrifice. And we said that in Kali Yuga, the best sacrifice is chanting Krishna's names, Hari Kirtan. Right? So in that, there is no problem in the sense that I am chanting. There is no way that you know or you don't know. It's not, it's probably used strongly or utilized in the wrong direction. That's not happening. We are chanting Krishna's names. But I understand your question is more towards, say, if I give charity to somebody, how do I know whether it is being used properly or not?
Or I'm helping.
I'm helping somebody. So yes, what's most important is your intention first, right? If your intention is good, you are safe. That's the first thing to understand. Second thing is also to know that yes, there is a science behind all of this. That if I do charity in different modes, in the sense that I give charity to somebody, thinking, because my heart melts and I give money to somebody, but that person is probably, using it for to buy drinks, yes, and going beating up his wife. And you feel that I didn't give money for this. So one has to be careful that where am I giving and doing this charity? Am I doing this charity? And this is a very obvious example. But there could be other examples also where your intention in the charity is to become famous. And that's not a very obvious one. Right? And you say, oh, so and so donated so, and you feel that, wow, I'm being glorified everywhere. But that's harmful forget about others, for you. Correct, right? So that's what it is, that when you have to be careful where whatever sacrifice you are saying sacrifice, you need to be alert. Where am I doing it? What am I doing? So the best way to do anything is to keep God in the center end of it. So for instance, you really want to help somebody by giving money rather than money, maybe you should give that person some food to eat. And what that food is, also be careful, if you give something which we will talk in future classes, something which, for example, I offer that beggar on the street, I offer some prasad. So then you know that there's nothing wrong in it. But sometimes it may happen that you offer that beggar some food, and then this is Krishna, no? And then you will have to be born again, because that person has to take care of you, return back to you, right? So we will see the dynamics of this in the future classes. But for now, I think it's good to understand that I need to be alert. Where am I doing my charity? And chanting Krishna's names is the best sacrifice. There is no harm. Two things. Any other? Right. Pass.
Hare Krishna. So, what is the need of a spiritual guru in someone's life to reach ultimate destination, that is Krishna? So, can't we go without a guru, spiritual guru?
That's the topic of the fourth session. So we'll wait for that session.
Yeah.
We'll definitely wait for the session, but I can simplify it for now to satisfy you and keep you, patient till then. Is that even to run, you need a coach. An athlete has a coach. Even to run. Can you imagine? Yes. Even to understand the dynamics of running, you need a coach who will guide you. So what to speak of something we're talking about, something as profound as spiritual life. So we will discuss in detail. But the need for a mentor is highlighted in the Bhagavad Gita itself by Krishna himself. Okay.
Mataji, there are few things that we understand don't give us a lot of happiness. Like, let's say if we don't have a big house or let's say a car, it's easy to be happy without these things, but there are some things that make you absolutely unhappy, like seeing your loved ones in pain, or there can be situations where, let's say, things are not good with your parents or maybe your spouse. In that case, how do you keep yourself positive and make sure that you are still in association with Vaishnava, you're still serving Krishna? Because these things cause you immense pain. There's not a lot you can do about it, but it's still a situation. How do you accept it and
Right.
be positive?
I understand. Thank you for that question. And it is difficult. It's definitely difficult. It's not easy. But I think uh, spiritual life, that is why, is also understanding philosophy. Right? It's also an important part of spiritual life, where you begin to look at things with different perspectives. Right? So, what perspective you had earlier was just to see their suffering or their pain, but now you begin to look at it from the point of view as maybe uh, perhaps I pray for them, perhaps Krishna will reduce their pain, and also things like, well, uh, you know, it's their karma and my karma that we have to go through this, but there is a way to get out of it, and that is to surrender to Krishna. So that is when you start sharing your own, your own realizations and your own experience with the other person, your dear, your loved person. You begin to share, and when you see they are able to relate to that, their sufferings will reduce for them, right? Because whatever each one of us have to go through, we have to go through it. You can't take their suffering that way. But they can reduce it themselves. And your role comes there. That are you able to give them that perception? If you're not, then you will only lament and they will also lament. But if you are able to give them the spiritual perception in life, then they are able to ease the suffering for themselves. Do you agree? Therefore, you have to share. Last question we'll take, and then I think we're running short. We'll do Japa.
Just one.
Yeah.
Mataji, what happens as she said, close people, see, if they're suffering, they'll be giving that negative energy. How much ever you're trying to keep up, and something happens, and you start feeling that it's reflecting in the house, and first of all, you yourselves are so disturbed because of that energies, right? So now, how do you bounce back? See, you get negative energies. See, it could be a close people whom you can't avoid. Say, you may be a parent and you talk to them daily and you can't avoid. And that person is full of negative energy for whatever reasons. And obviously that passes on to you, it rubs on themselves. So then how do you keep up yourself in those situations?
Very true.
Yeah.
Do you feel you're feeling good positive energy there?
Yes.
So do you think that gaining more of this positive energy on a very regular basis, consistently, will help you?
Yes, definitely.
That's the solution. There is really no other way, in the sense that negativity will be all around us always.
Correct.
We have to build ourselves. We have to build ourselves from within. Right? And that's what we are talking, right? We can't influence others. We can't change them. We can help them develop spiritual perspective in life, but if they are too negative, then you feel that, okay, let me protect my own spiritual life. And for that, you need to come to places, be with people who are positive. More and more and more. Get into Bhagavad Gita. And you will see how Bhagavad Gita is such a powerful source of positivity. You just have to pick any page and you feel that, wow, this is such a nice. And then you feel that, yeah, I think I should implement.
Mataji, so many times that's what happens. You don't understand. Bhagavad Gita is not easy to.
Very true.
I mean, even if they have given the meaning below.
You're right.
If which was I was given, if I pick it up and read, even if the meaning is given below, unless you are guided to it, you will not.
You're perfectly right, which is why we need a mentor.
Mentor, yeah. So you will not understand.
You're perfectly right. We need a mentor. And then once we have a mentor in our lives, then you feel that, yeah, I think I can also understand a bit. Something is good. Yeah, something I can relate to. That goes up. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anish. Last question. Okay.
So, I believe in a soul journey a lot, and you always say that this person is an old soul, and this is a lost soul, or this is a new soul. What does Bhagavad Gita say about a spiritual journey of a soul, birth, rebirth, and how is that I am going to attain the highest level of, my soul journey, after which probably I might not want to have a rebirth.
Right.
So, what does Bhagavad Gita say about it? I
Very
mean,
nice.
yes, attainment of happiness is important, but what beyond life?
Absolutely. Thank you very much again for a very wonderful question, very profound. So, the Bhagavad Gita, of course, acknowledges, that all of us are not just the coverings, yes, but we are beyond these coverings of the body. We are souls. Now, in terms of old soul, new soul, the lost soul, that's a very, probably contemporary way of expressing things. To say that somebody is very experienced, somebody is very mature, somebody is very reflective in life. So you say it's an old soul, right? And somebody who is lost, you say lost soul is somebody who's always confused what to do, what not to do. And a new soul, again, is somebody who is inexperienced in that sense. But the Bhagavad Gita will give you the perspective of labeling this soul as per their realization. Right? So the degree of I wouldn't use the word surrender yet, but that is what it is. Right? The degree to which you are able to connect with Krishna, to go closer and closer, and say that, yeah, I think this is what it is. Here I am going to take shelter. I am not going to take shelter elsewhere. Right? So the Bhagavad Gita says the more you'll be able to do that, that's happiness. Happiness is not about anything else. It's not about all those layers that we spoke about. They are about those layers only in the sense of completeness, or it's incomplete. But the moment we reach up to the soul, that's when we are saying that now I have understood my identity. And that itself is so difficult. Correct? So many of you all of you who have come here today, have come with what understanding, with what question? Some question, right? So some of you have some problem in life, big problem going on in life, and you want a solution to that. Some others are saying that no, there's no problem, but I want to progress. And most often the progress is in what terms? Either you have financial difficulties, you want to evade that, or something like that. So you want to go up there. Some others, you might be just curious. What is it about? Yes, some of you are like what you asked just now. You have some fair understanding, and you want to give that a shape to that understanding. You've come for different reasons, and that is the maturity of your soul. Right? And some out there who don't care, yes, who are enjoying their weekends, they are indifferent, right? Because they haven't even bothered to start this journey. They don't feel the need yet, and that's a young soul. Right? So Bhagavad Gita says that you start this journey. And we will see how beautifully Krishna will take Arjuna from the first chapter where Arjuna is completely confused and bewildered and depressed. He goes on to speak to Arjuna about so many things, and Arjuna keeps questioning. No, I don't want to fight, he says. Krishna says, this. No, I don't want to fight. But why this? Why not that? Why not? He keeps asking Krishna so many questions. So Krishna takes him from the first chapter to 18th chapter. 18 chapters are there in the Bhagavad Gita. And in the 18th chapter, Arjuna willingly agrees to fight. And that's the stage that we are hoping to reach. Where we are willingly saying that, yeah, actually, I want to do this not because he, she, or because of this problem, that problem. I just want to do it. I want to, in Arjuna's case, it was fight, but in our case, it's a different fight. Yeah, we want to go closer to Krishna. That's what it is. Does that satisfy? Okay, so we'll now chant. We are actually running late. Okay, we started on time, but we're running late, so we'll have 10 minutes of japa now. Okay. So everyone, yeah, my. Oh, you give me one. Okay, so. You will show. We will show them how to chant. Yeah, yeah. So here we are. Okay. So sure. Okay. So Monica Mataji here. In fact, all of these volunteers that you've been seeing, they're all working in IT companies full time. Yes, and they take time out on weekends. Why? Any guess? Why do they come on weekends? They feel happy. they feel so happy, and that's why they're here. So I should give this mic to you. You take that mic.
You all have this kind of beads with you. So this is the Krishna bead, the first one, which is the top one. So we don't chant Maha Mantra on this. We will chant Panchatattva mantra. So this is just.
Yeah.
So this is just prayer. So whatever we chant, we are offering it to Krishna. So we will chant this mantra first on this first bead, and then from there we will chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So that mantra will also be displayed. So on one bead we'll chant complete mantra like that. First is like Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. After that you can take one bead. You have to chant complete mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then you can move it to next beat. Okay, like this. So like this second, and then like this we'll go on chanting. And then once you reach the same place where we started, opposite. So this means we chanted completely 108 times Maha Mantra. So that is one round complete. Then here we can stop and we can chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So if you want to chant extra round, then you have to turn and then chant from there.
But I think one round for now.
Yeah.
So we'll chant one round for now. But as she said, she will repeat. You will say Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, and then they will repeat after you in bits. And then we go to the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and all of us will chant together.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda,
Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,